Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're tackling one of the absolutely massive challenges any civilization can face, and that's building a cohesive society. Seriously, think about it for a second. How do you take millions of individuals, people with completely different backgrounds, and somehow weave them together into a single, unified moral and ethical fabric? It sounds pretty much impossible, right? Well, today we are going to look at a truly fascinating architectural blueprint designed to do exactly that. We're exploring the concept of Pancasila, the foundational philosophy of Indonesia, and seeing how it actively builds community ethics from the ground up. To really wrap our heads around how this works, we're going to break this explainer down into 6 parts: the Indonesian Unity Formula, the 5 guiding principles, a framework for ethics, Pancasila in the real world, threats to the vision, and finally, preserving unity in diversity. Let's get right to it.
First up, Part 1, the Indonesian Unity Formula.
To really understand this blueprint, you've got to understand the sheer, mind-boggling scale of the environment it was actually built for. We're talking about Indonesia here, a nation that is literally defined by its incredibly rich cultural, ethnic, and religious differences. Let that hang in your mind for just a moment. How do you unite that kind of immense diversity? Imagine being handed the job of creating one single, overarching ethical code to keep society from fracturing, especially among groups that seemingly have absolutely nothing in common. How on earth do you find the common ground that lets everyone live together harmoniously?
Well, the definitive solution to that monumental question is Pancasila. It's the foundational philosophy of Indonesia. But it's so much more than just some dusty historical document. It actively shapes the moral and ethical fabric of the whole society. It was literally designed from the ground up to be a unifying principle, a solid structural foundation that provides strict yet totally inclusive guidelines for harmonious living across all those vast differences we just talked about.
Okay, moving on to Part 2, the 5 guiding principles.
Let's dive right into the core mechanics of this philosophy. What exactly is Pancasila made of? Well, the word itself literally translates to 5 principles, and here they are, the absolute core of the whole blueprint. 1. Belief in one almighty God, which sets up the spiritual and moral foundation. 2. Just and civilized humanity, promoting universal respect for human rights. 3. The unity of Indonesia, which is all about encouraging national solidarity. 4. Democracy guided by inner wisdom in a unanimity arising out of deliberations among representatives. I know that's a mouthful, but it's a brilliant way to stress participatory governance and consensus. And 5. Social justice for all Indonesians, advocating for equitable resource distribution and justice. These 5 pillars are what hold up the entire societal structure.
And this phrase right here brilliantly captures the ultimate summary of those principles working together. Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, which translates to unity in diversity. Our source material points to this specific concept as the real driving force. It actively encourages communities to embrace their differences. You see, it doesn't ask people to erase what makes them unique. Instead, it promotes mutual respect and understanding by recognizing those diverse beliefs and practices as a massive collective strength.
That brings us to Part 3, a framework for ethics. So, now that we've got the philosophical foundation down, let's shift gears and look at how this creates a highly practical ethical framework for everyday society. The crucial point here is that this framework applies a dual expectation. It's really a two-way street between the people and the state. On one side, you have social responsibility. The framework nurtures a deep sense of duty toward your fellow citizens. Ethical behaviors, things like fairness and empathy, are heavily grounded in the 2nd and 5th principles, humanity and social justice. But then, on the flip side, we have political leadership. Leaders are absolutely expected to embody these same democratic and just values. The framework basically demands that policies align with Pancasila, ensuring that societal ethics are always prioritized from the very top down. Next up, Part 4, Pancasila in the real world. Now, what's really interesting is seeing how this high-level theory actually translates into daily life. Let's look at that first principle, belief in one almighty God. In practice, this doesn't mean mandating a single state religion, not at all. Instead, it creates a structural expectation that all religions can and will coexist peacefully by actively fostering interfaith dialogue. It effectively carves out a space where religious harmony isn't just some nice ideal, but a real structural expectation for everyday life. Let's look at another example to see how this builds out even further. Take the principle of social justice. That's the 5th pillar. In practice, this directly inspires and compels local governments and organizations to kickstart community development initiatives. It translates right into equitable resource distribution programs. These are designed specifically to tackle inequality head-on and actively improve the quality of life for everyone, no matter their background. It's a real game changer on a local level. Moving into Part 5, Threats to the Vision. Of course, no foundational philosophy exists in a vacuum, right? We have to look analytically at the structural stress tests facing this blueprint today. According to the source material, there are 3 really significant modern challenges threatening these ethical principles. The first one is corruption, which is a direct threat to the democratic and just values expected in leadership and governance. The second is intolerance. This one directly attacks that core concept of unity and diversity and mutual respect. And the third challenge is inequities, which undermines the very foundation of social justice and equitable resource distribution. Impartially speaking, these are massive, modern hurdles that constantly test the resilience of the whole Pancasila framework.
And that leads us to our final section, Part 6, Preserving Unity in Diversity. So how exactly does a society respond when its foundational blueprint is being tested like this? Addressing these challenges requires a really clear call to action, and the source breaks this down into 3 distinct steps. Step 1, there has got to be a renewed commitment to Pancasila education, making sure the next generation actually understands the framework. Step 2, leaders have to rigorously apply these principles in modern governance to actively combat corruption and inequity. And finally, step 3, citizens themselves must consciously integrate these values, fairness, empathy, respect, into their daily interactions. It's going to take real collaboration from educators, leaders, and everyday citizens alike to keep this framework strong.
This brings us to a truly powerful summary straight from the source text. Pancasila is a powerful ethical compass for Indonesian society, promoting respect, unity, and justice. I mean, that really hits the nail on the head. It serves as this absolutely necessary guide for individuals and communities to build a cohesive, morally upright society. It proves that even the most immense diversity can be united under one shared ethical vision. Which leaves us with something pretty important to think about regarding our own lives. We've just seen how a unified set of principles can hold together incredible diversity. So I'm going to leave you with this question. What is the ethical compass uniting your community? What are the shared principles that guide your society's daily interactions or your expectations of leadership? Take a moment to really reflect on your own blueprint. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep learning.